Back in ancient times, the executioner was the one who carried out death sentences with grim precision. It was one of the most feared and stigmatized occupations. Dressed in ominous black robes, the executioner's presence struck fear into the hearts of all who witnessed the final judgment. The executioner's job was a dark and solitary one, shrouded in mystery and shadows. Each swing of the axe was a solemn reminder of the power of justice and the weight of taking a life. Despite the grim duty, the executioner carried out the sentences with unwavering resolve, a somber figure in the annals of history. In the shadows of the past, the executioner's legacy endures as a symbol of justice and the ultimate consequence. Hey, have you ever heard of the ancient practice of mourner for hire? This practice was common in various cultures, including ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, and China. Imagine attending funerals just to weep and wail, portraying deep sorrow for the deceased, often to enhance the ceremony's emotional atmosphere. In ancient times, these mourners were like professional criers, hired to express grief and honor the departed. Their role was crucial in ceremonies and rituals, ensuring the deceased received a proper farewell. Despite the solemnity, some mourners were also skilled in poetry and eulogies, adding a touch of artistry to their mourning. Their presence brought comfort to the grieving families, offering a sense of closure and commemoration. The role of a plague doctor in ancient and medieval history was both highly dangerous and critical during times of plague outbreaks, such as the Black Death in the 14th. Enter the plague doctor, clad in a creepy bird mask and long black cloak, his cane tapping on the cobblestones. His task? Diagnosing and treating the afflicted townsfolk with his bizarre remedies and potions. Despite the fear and superstition surrounding him, the doctor's dedication to his patients never wavers. The treatment methods available to plague doctors were rudimentary and largely ineffective. As day turns to night, the plague doctor tirelessly continues his mission, a lone figure fighting against the darkness. In this grim landscape, the plague doctor is a beacon of hope, a mysterious savior in a time of despair. Ever thought about being a gong farmer in ancient times, braving the stench to collect human waste from cesspits? One of the most unpleasant and hazardous occupations in medieval and early modern history. Gong farmers used various tools, such as long-handled shovels, buckets, and barrels, to scoop out and transport the waste. They often worked at night to avoid the stench and visibility of their work during the day. Your job is to clean up the mess, turning filth into something valuable for the community to use. It may sound like a dirty job, but as a gong farmer, you play a vital role in keeping the city clean and disease-free. So, next time you flush, remember the unsung heroes of the past who dealt with waste, making our lives healthier and safer. Imagine a world where the bone picker roamed the ancient streets, collecting bones for recycling. It was an essential yet grim occupation in urban areas during the 19th and early 20th centuries. With a keen eye and a quick hand, this mysterious figure salvaged bones left behind by others. These bones were often leftovers from butcher shops, kitchens, and waste dumps. Every bone had a story, a history etched in its cracks and curves, waiting to be reborn. The bone picker's actions were not just about recycling but also preserving the past for the future. Bone pickers worked in dirty and unsanitary conditions. They scavenged in areas with rotting food, dead animals, and other waste, exposing themselves to foul odors and potential health hazards. Through the bone picker's eyes, the streets revealed hidden treasures amidst the chaos of the past. Back in ancient times, when resurrectionists roamed the streets, snatching corpses for medical experiments. This practice was particularly prevalent during the 18th and 19th centuries. These grave robbers lurked in the shadows, seeking fresh bodies to sell to medical schools and curious scientists. The demand for cadavers in medical schools outstripped the legal supply. The demand for cadavers was high, and these shady characters saw an opportunity in the darkness of the night. They faced grave danger, but the allure of quick money and the thrill of the forbidden drove them on. Their deeds were whispered about in hushed tones, a dark chapter in the history of medicine and ethics. But even in the shadows, there was a glimmer of humanity, as some sought to understand the mysteries of life through these illicit means. Imagine this: back in ancient times, a rat catcher was the unsung hero of the city. It was an essential but often dangerous occupation, focused on controlling the population of rats and other rodents. Rat catchers used a variety of traps to catch rats. Armed with just a torch and a relentless spirit, they hunted down those pesky rodents. Their job was to keep the streets clean and free from the disease-carrying creatures, a true warrior of cleanliness. Through the narrow alleys and dimly lit corners, they chased after the scurrying rats, never giving up. In the end, the rat catcher was the silent protector, ensuring a safer environment for everyone. Their legacy lives on in the tales of bravery and dedication, a true legend of the ancient times. Yo, imagine Tanner back in the ancient days, hustling with animal hides and dung to create some sick leather vibes. This was a highly labor-intensive and unpleasant job. Dude was all about that grind, turning those rough materials into stylish leather goods that were lit. Tanners would collect raw animal hides from butchers or hunters. His work was all about that rustic charm, mixing nature's elements into his craft for that unique flair. And let's not forget, his creations were on point, blending ancient techniques with a touch of modern vibes. People were all about Tanner's leather game, rocking those pieces with confidence and mad style. His legacy? A fusion of ancient craftsmanship and contemporary coolness that still resonates today. So, imagine being a chamber pot collector in ancient history, dealing with the daily task of emptying and cleaning chamber pots. You'd have to navigate through narrow alleys, dodging all sorts of waste, to collect these pots from households. The pots would be brimming with all kinds of unmentionables, making your job not just gross but also quite hazardous. But hey, someone had to do it, right? You'd carry these pots to a designated spot outside the city for cleaning. Scrubbing and washing each pot meticulously, ensuring they're spotless for the next round of use. Quite a cycle, huh? And just like that, you'd be back on the streets, ready to repeat the process all over again, a never-ending cycle of chamber pot duty. The job of a tosher was one of the most hazardous and unpleasant occupations in the 19th century, particularly in London. Toshers scavenged in the sewers, searching for valuables and items that could be sold. Well, back in ancient times, there were people called toshers who literally scavenged in sewers for valuables. They braved the filth and darkness to find anything worth a penny, making their way through the murky waters. Imagine the thrill of discovering a hidden gem in the midst of all that muck and grime, a true urban adventure. Their finds range from coins to lost jewelry, turning sewage into a potential treasure trove. Talk about a messy gold mine. So, next time you drop something in the drain, maybe it's time to call in the tosher squad. Ever heard of crossing sweepers in ancient history, the unsung heroes clearing horse dung from street crossings? Crossing sweepers were responsible for keeping street crossings clean. These folks were the OG street cleaners, making sure pedestrians walked dung-free paths with their brooms. Back then, the streets were literal minefields of horse droppings, and these sweepers kept them spick and span. Despite the stinky job, they were essential for public health, preventing diseases from spreading in the city. The job involved constant exposure to dirt, waste, and potential pathogens. Their work might seem mundane, but it was crucial for maintaining a clean and safe urban environment. Next time you walk on a clean street, remember the unsung heroes of the past who made it possible. Imagine being a scab picker in ancient times. Yikes. The job of a scab picker in the cloth-making process was a necessary yet unpleasant and labor-intensive occupation. Scab pickers were responsible for removing impurities, such as scabs from raw wool before it was processed into cloth. This role was crucial in ensuring the quality of the final textile product. The job was highly labor-intensive, involving long hours of repetitive manual work. Scab pickers often worked in dimly lit and poorly ventilated environments, which could be physically taxing. These skilled workers played a vital role in creating quality textiles for clothing and other goods. Their expertise contributed to the development of the textile industry and the economy of that era. So next time you complain about your job, remember the scab pickers of the past. Yo, check out this crayfish peddler from ancient times, hustling those crustaceans from the filthiest waters. It involved catching and selling crayfish, often sourced from polluted or unclean waters. He was out there, grinding every day, selling those bad boys like they were gold nuggets. It required knowledge of their habitats and the techniques to capture them effectively. People thought he was crazy, but hey, someone's gotta take care of the seafood cravings, right? His secret sauce? These crayfish were so fresh, they practically jumped out of the water themselves. Word on the street was, his spicy crayfish recipe was the bomb, straight up legendary. And that's how this crayfish peddler became the talk of the town, the king of the crustaceans. So, imagine this: a daring noodler in ancient history, plunging hands into murky waters, hunting catfish like a boss. It requires significant physical strength and skill. No fancy gear, just raw skill and guts, feeling the slimy whiskers and the epic struggle to pull out the catch. Once they located a catfish, they would grasp it firmly by the mouth or gills. These ancient noodlers were the OG fish whisperers, connecting with nature on a whole new level, man. Their stories are like legends passed down through generations, inspiring awe and respect for their mad fishing skills. And the catfish they caught? Huge, monstrous beasts that fueled both hunger and myths, becoming part of ancient lore. Next time you see a catfish, remember the ancient noodlers and their epic battles in the depths of history. In the heart of medieval Europe, the alchemist's assistant played a crucial role in supporting the alchemist's quest to transform base metals into gold and discover the elixir of life. Their duties included preparing and maintaining the alchemical laboratory, which involved handling a wide variety of dangerous and volatile substances such as mercury, sulfur, and acids. Assistants often had to mix and heat these substances, sometimes in poorly ventilated spaces, exposing themselves to toxic fumes and the risk of explosions. The assistants' eyes sparkled with the promise of unlocking the secrets of the universe. Additionally, they were responsible for cleaning equipment, managing supplies, and recording the results of experiments. They often had to follow complex and secretive recipes, requiring precision and attention to detail. In the alchemist's domain, magic and science intertwined in a dance of discovery. Imagine being an asylum attendant in ancient history, working in brutal conditions in mental asylums. Mental asylums in ancient history were often overcrowded, underfunded, and poorly maintained. You witnessed the daily struggles of patients, their cries echoing through the cold, damp halls of the asylum. Conditions could be filthy, and the facilities were frequently understaffed. The harsh treatments and lack of understanding make your job even more challenging, surrounded by suffering and despair. Despite the difficulties, you find moments of connection and empathy with the patients, offering a glimpse of humanity in the darkness. Your role as an asylum attendant is both emotionally draining and deeply rewarding, a constant balance between caring and coping. As you navigate the brutal conditions of the asylum, you become a beacon of hope and comfort in a place filled with chaos and suffering. So, imagine this: back in ancient history, fullers used to clean cloth with urine. Fuller was crucial in the textile industry. fullers were responsible for a process called fulling, which involved cleaning and thickening the cloth to make it more durable and finished. One of the key materials used in this process was urine, due to its ammonia content. They believed the ammonia in urine acted as a natural detergent to make fabrics sparkling clean. It might sound gross now, but hey, they had to work with what they had. Innovation at its finest. The use of urine made fulling a particularly smelly and unpleasant job. The smell of ammonia would permeate the workspace, and fullers would be in constant contact with this harsh substance. But hey, props to those ancient fullers for their out-of-the-box thinking and making it work. So, imagine being the guy who helps the king with his toilet needs. That's the groom of the stool for you. One of the most unusual and intimate roles in the royal court. Yep, he's like the VIP toilet assistant, making sure the king's bathroom game is on point. The primary duty of the groom of the stool was to assist the king with his bodily functions, specifically when using the toilet. This involved helping the king with undressing, cleaning, and dressing after the act. The job required constant physical proximity to the king, which could be both a privilege and a burden. The groom had to be available at all times to attend to the king's needs. He must have seen it all, from royal flushes to emergency throne situations, literally. The ultimate insider to the king's most private moments. Talk about a unique job perk. Imagine being the ultimate scapegoat, the whipping boy of a royal child, taking the hits for their misdeeds. Particularly during the Renaissance and early modern periods in certain European courts. The primary duty of a whipping boy was to receive corporal punishment on behalf of a royal child. When the royal child misbehaved or failed in their studies, the whipping boy would be whipped or beaten. It's a tough gig, but back then, it was the norm for a prince or princess to have a stand-in for punishment. The whipping boy bore the pain silently, a silent hero in the shadows of the royal court. But hey, at least you got to hang out in the palace, right? Silver linings and all that. So next time you complain about your job, just be glad you're not the whipping boy for a mischievous royal. The job of a latrine cleaner in ancient history was essential for maintaining sanitation in public and private facilities. It involved the unpleasant and physically demanding task of cleaning and maintaining latrines. This involved removing human waste, scrubbing the surfaces, and ensuring that the facilities were as sanitary as possible given the time's limitations. The work environment was extremely unpleasant due to the constant exposure to human waste. Braving the filth and stench, you scrubbed away like a champ, making the toilet shine. People relied on you for a clean place to do their business. You were the real MVP. Your hard work didn't go unnoticed. You were the secret hero of every public restroom. So, next time you visit a public toilet, remember the unsung latrine cleaners who kept it sparkling clean. Imagine this. Back in ancient history, a practice known as the sin eater involved eating a meal over a corpse to absorb its sins. One of the most peculiar and grim occupations. This bizarre ritual was believed to cleanse the deceased's soul and prevent their sins from haunting the living. This ritual involved eating a meal placed on the chest or beside the body of a deceased person. The sin eater's role was both feared and revered, as they took on the burden of others' transgressions for the greater good. It was a solemn duty, shrouded in mystery and tradition, passed down through generations in ancient cultures. The sin eater's existence blurred the lines between life and death, sin and redemption, in a world filled with superstitions. Though this practice may seem alien to us now, it reflects the intricate beliefs and customs of our ancestors. The job of a leech collector in ancient and medieval history was an important yet highly unpleasant occupation. Leeches were used extensively in medical treatments, particularly for bloodletting. Leech collectors worked in wetlands, marshes, and other damp environments. They often spent long hours standing in muddy waters, which could be physically exhausting and uncomfortable. The use of leeches dates back to ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans. The practice continued through the Middle Ages and into the 19th century before declining with the advent of modern medicine. These little suckers were used for bloodletting, believed to restore the body's balance. Despite the grossness factor, leech collectors played a crucial role in ancient medicine. Next time you cringe at leeches, remember they were the heroes of ancient healing. The job of a mudlark in ancient history, particularly during the 18th and 19th centuries in London, involved scavenging in the mud along riverbanks, primarily the River Thames, for items of value that could be sold. Unearthing hidden treasures like ancient coins, pottery shards, and lost relics from the past. Each find tells a story of ancient civilizations, their daily lives, and forgotten traditions. The thrill of discovery fuels the passion of these modern-day treasure hunters. The work environment was extremely dirty and unhygienic. Mudlarks were constantly exposed to mud, sewage, and other waste products that were often dumped into the river. Join the adventure of mudlarking, where every muddy step unveils a piece of the past. Imagine being a chimney sweep in ancient times, covered in soot, battling the dark depths of chimneys. It was an essential but hazardous occupation, particularly during the 18th and 19th centuries. Their duty was to clean the inside of chimneys, flues, and fireplaces. This involved removing soot, creosote, and other debris that accumulated over time, which could obstruct airflow and pose a fire hazard amidst the dusty chaos. You fought to keep the chimneys clean, struggling for breath in the suffocating darkness. Chimney sweeps worked in extremely confined and cramped spaces, often climbing into narrow chimneys that were dark, dirty, and difficult to navigate. This required physical agility and a lack of claustrophobia. Despite the risks, you were the unsung hero of the ancient chimneys, valiantly facing the sooty demons. Your legacy lives on as a reminder of the sacrifices made in the name of keeping the chimneys clean. Back in ancient times, the tooth drawer was the go-to for teeth trouble, providing rudimentary dental care at a time when there were few trained dentists and limited understanding of oral hygiene. The primary duty of a tooth drawer was to remove decayed or infected teeth. This was often done to relieve pain or prevent the spread of infection, although the procedures were typically painful and crude. Tooth drawers used a variety of basic and often crude tools, such as pliers, forceps, and hooks, to extract teeth. These tools were rarely sanitized between uses, increasing the risk of infection. Infections were common, hygiene was an afterthought, yet the job had to be done. Despite the risks, the tooth drawer was a necessary evil in a time of dental distress. Thank your lucky stars for modern dentistry, where pain is minimized, and hygiene is key. Imagine a time when the clang of metal against metal echoed through the ancient village, where the blacksmith worked tirelessly under the blazing sun. His hands calloused from years of shaping molten iron, crafting weapons and tools that would stand the test of time. Blacksmiths produced a wide variety of tools and weapons, including plows, hoes, axes, knives, swords, spears, and armor. These items were essential for agriculture, construction, hunting, and warfare. Blacksmithing involved working with intense heat and open flames. Blacksmiths had to manage a hot forge, handle red-hot metal, and work in high temperatures, which could be physically exhausting and dangerous. In a world where strength and craftsmanship were revered, the blacksmith was a revered figure, a master of fire and steel. His legacy lives on in the sturdy tools and weapons that withstood the test of time, a testament to his skill and dedication. The role of a gladiator trainer in ancient Rome was an unusual and significant occupation, essential for the operation of the gladiatorial games, which were a central aspect of Roman entertainment and culture. This training included physical conditioning, combat techniques, weapon handling, and tactics. Renisti trained their fighters in various fighting styles, depending on the type of gladiator they were to become. They had to be tough, strategic, and know every move to prep their fighters for the epic showdowns. It required mental acuity to develop training programs and manage a diverse group of individuals. Imagine the pressure of training fighters to face fierce beasts and skilled opponents in front of roaring crowds. But beyond the battles, these trainers were respected for their expertise and dedication to their fighters. Their legacy lives on as symbols of strength, honor, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Back in ancient times, there was a crafty fabricator who brewed up matches from toxic chemicals, a risky game indeed. The primary duty was to prepare the chemicals needed for the match heads. This typically involved mixing phosphorus, potassium chlorate, and other substances to create a compound that would ignite easily when struck. But with great power comes great responsibility, as his fiery inventions could easily turn into destructive forces. Ensuring the quality of the matches was an important aspect of the job. Despite the risks, the fabricator continued his craft, a daring dance with danger that mesmerized onlookers. His legacy lives on, a reminder of the fine line between creation and destruction in the hands of a master. In a world where sparks fly, his story shines brightly, a testament to the artistry of ancient matchmaking. Imagine being a flint knapper in ancient history, chipping away at flint to create tools, but little did they know, it came with a cost. The primary duty of a flint knapper was to select suitable flint stones. The constant inhalation of flint dust led to respiratory issues, causing lung diseases that plagued these skilled artisans. Their dedication to crafting tools brought them face to face with the harsh reality of occupational hazards, a silent price for innovation. Despite the risks, these flint knappers played a crucial role in shaping early human civilizations, their legacy etched in stone. Their story reminds us that innovation often comes at a price, a sacrifice made for progress and survival. The next time you use a modern tool, remember the flint knappers who paved the way, even amidst health challenges. Imagine being a soap boiler in ancient times, boiling animal fat to craft soap. Soap was an essential product for hygiene and cleanliness, making the role of the soap boiler vital for public health. The primary duty of a soap boiler was to collect the necessary ingredients for soap making. These ingredients typically included animal fat, tallow, lye, derived from wood ashes or later, caustic soda, and water. These soap artisans played a crucial role in keeping communities clean and healthy, using ancient recipes passed down through generations. Their work required precision and patience, as the right mix of ingredients was essential for quality soap production. The soaps they created weren't just for washing, they were symbols of purity and luxury in ancient societies. Next time you use soap, remember the ancient craft of the soap boiler, turning fat into cleanliness. Imagine being a powder monkey in ancient times, handling explosives on warships. Powder monkeys were typically young boys tasked with handling gunpowder and ammunition during naval battles. The primary duty was to transport gunpowder from the ship's magazine to the gun decks where the cannons were located. This required speed and agility, as battles could be intense and required a constant supply of powder. Handling gunpowder was extremely dangerous. They had to be careful to avoid spills and sparks, which could lead to catastrophic explosions. They were trained to handle the gunpowder with great care. The camaraderie among the crew, the smell of gunpowder in the air, it's a life unlike any other. From the deck to the powder room, you're the unsung hero fueling the ship's firepower. In the heart of battles, you're the one with nerves of steel, ready to light the fuse and make history. Imagine being the lamplighter in ancient times, lighting and extinguishing street lamps under the night sky, which were typically fueled by gas or oil. The sole guardian of light in the darkness, wandering the narrow alleys and quiet streets with a sense of purpose. Lamplighters were responsible for the maintenance of the lamps. This included cleaning the glass covers, trimming the wicks, and ensuring that the lamps were in good working condition. They had to adhere to a strict schedule, working at dusk and dawn every day. This required a high level of punctuality and reliability to ensure that the streets were properly illuminated. But as dawn approached, his task shifted to extinguishing the lights, signaling the end of another night's watch. In the quiet moments after his work was done, he stood under the fading stars, a silent witness to the night's mysteries. So you want to know about fish cleaning in ancient times, huh? Let's dive in. This occupation was essential in societies that relied heavily on fishing for their food supply. Imagine the hustle and bustle at the fish market, the smell of the sea, and the giant fish waiting to be cleaned. Fish cleaners back then had some serious skills, gutting and scaling those slippery creatures like pros. After scaling, the fish cleaner made an incision along the belly of the fish to remove the internal organs. This involved extracting the guts, gills, and other unwanted parts, ensuring the fish was clean. Cleaning and gutting fish wasn't just a chore but a necessary craft to feed communities and keep traditions alive. And there you have it, the ancient fish cleaners who kept the seas alive and bellies full with their expertise. The role of fish cleaners highlights the importance of skilled labor in ancient societies. Hey guys, ever wonder how they made musical instrument strings back in the day? Well, let me take you on a trip to the past. Catgut strings were essential for various musical instruments. Imagine a craftsperson meticulously extracting and processing animal intestines to create these strings. It was a labor of love. The strips were twisted together to form strings. These strings were not just any strings, they were the soul of the music, each one unique and crafted with care. The catgut maker had to be skilled and patient, turning simple materials into something magical for musicians to play their tunes. And as these strings found their way onto instruments, they brought melodies to life, echoing through ancient halls and hearts. So next time you hear the beautiful sound of a string instrument, remember the ancient craft of the catgut maker behind it. So, imagine cruising through ancient streets, right? But instead of a cool ride, you're scavenging for trash and dead animals. Yikes! You're not just picking up any old stuff, you're a pro at finding hidden gems in all the mess. It's like a treasure hunt, but way more stinky. People might be grossed out by your job, but you're low-key saving the day by keeping the streets clean and preventing diseases. Real-life hero, anyone? And hey, don't forget the perks, you get to see the weirdest things that people throw away. Who knows, you might find a hidden treasure trove one day. So, next time you see a scavenger on the street, give them a nod of respect for their hard work. They're the unsung heroes of ancient history. Their work was essential for the functioning of ancient cities and towns. The role of scavengers underscores the importance of waste management and public health measures in historical urban environments. So, imagine this guy in ancient history, night soil man, collecting human excrement at night. To minimize the exposure to the public and reduce the impact of the smell. He's like the original waste management hero, dealing with the dirty stuff when everyone else is asleep. Once collected, the waste had to be transported to designated disposal sites outside the city. Back then, sanitation was a luxury, and he was the unsung warrior fighting disease with poop. They helped to prevent the spread of disease and improve living conditions. Just picture him, sneaking around in the dead of night, a stinky but crucial job. They were typically from the lower social classes and faced social ostracism. The history of night soil men highlights the importance of waste management practices and the evolution of sanitation systems over time. So, you want to know what it was like to be an executioner's assistant back in the day? It involved a combination of physical labor, logistical support, and handling the grim aftermath of executions. Imagine being the right-hand person to the executioner, helping with the dirty work and keeping things moving smoothly. The executioner's assistant was responsible for preparing the site of the execution. After the execution, the assistant was responsible for disposing of the body. This often involved transporting the body to a designated burial site, preparing it for burial, and sometimes performing the burial themselves. The constant stench of death lingering around, the chilling silence of the execution grounds, it was a tough gig. But hey, someone had to do it, and you were there, making sure justice was served in the most gruesome way possible. The stories you could tell, the nightmares that haunted your sleep, being an executioner's assistant was no walk in the park. Imagine being the village's piss prophet in ancient history, diagnosing illnesses by examining urine. This practice, known as uroscopy or uromancy, and could provide insights into a person's health. Piss prophets closely examine the urine, assessing various attributes such as color, clarity, sediment, smell, and even taste. Each characteristic was believed to correspond to different health conditions. The piss prophet, revered and feared, held immense power in determining someone's fate based on their pee. Piss prophets provided valuable diagnostic services that could guide treatment and care. It was a blend of science and superstition, where a simple glance at urine could spark hope or despair. This bizarre practice sheds light on how ancient societies viewed health and the human body. The piss prophet stands as a peculiar figure in the annals of medical history, or relic of ancient beliefs. Yo, ever thought about writing letters to the dead? Like, imagine being a scribe in ancient history, penning messages to those who've passed on. You'd be in this cool, mysterious chamber, surrounded by flickering candlelight, and the air thick with the scent of aged paper, helping the living convey messages to their departed loved ones. Each stroke of your quill would carry whispers of the past, connecting you to stories long forgotten, but still echoing through time. And as the words flow from your mind to the parchment, you'd feel a sense of solace, knowing that even in death, these souls are not forgotten. It's like you're a bridge between the living and the departed, channeling emotions and memories into the eternal realm of the afterlife. So, next time you see an ancient scroll or hear about a scribe for the dead, remember the power of words to transcend time and space. In the bustling medieval town, the blacksmith's assistant toiled tirelessly, shaping molten metal with skill. His hands, callous from hard work, crafted intricate designs that adorned noble armor. The work was demanding, involving a range of tasks that supported the blacksmith in producing various metal. The clanging of hammers echoed through the workshop, a symphony of creation and craftsmanship. Typically, a blacksmith's assistant was an apprentice learning the trade. This position provided valuable hands-on experience and knowledge about metalworking techniques. As the sun set on another day, the assistant stood proud, knowing he played a vital role in the town's defense. Back in ancient times, farmers had a clever trick up their sleeves to protect their crops from pesky birds. They created scarecrows, not your typical friendly kind, but rather terrifying and intimidating ones. These scarecrows were designed to send shivers down the birds' feathers and keep them far away from the precious crops. With their eerie presence and unpredictable movements, these scarecrows successfully guarded the fields day and night. Farmers relied on these bird scarers to ensure a bountiful harvest and protect their hard work from being devoured by feathered intruders. So, next time you see a scarecrow in a field, remember its ancient role as a guardian of crops against the sky invaders. So, you think your job is tough? Let's take a trip back to ancient Greece and uncover some seriously bizarre professions. Imagine being a leech collector. Yup, people actually gathered those bloodsuckers for medical treatments. But wait, it gets weirder. How about a garbage collector who dealt with waste in the scorching Greek sun? And let's not forget the excrement cleaner, the unsung hero who kept the streets free from, well, you know. These jobs might sound repugnant, but they were crucial in the ancient Greek society, shaping their culture in unexpected ways. The enduring effects of these professions can still be seen today in the sanitation systems and medical practices we have. So, next time you complain about your job, just remember the leech collectors and garbage cleaners of ancient Greece. Back in ancient times, a mysterious figure emerged, the woad dyer. This occupation was essential in ancient and medieval textile industries, particularly in Europe. With a foul-smelling woad plant in hand, they transformed plain cloth into vibrant shades of blue. Blue was a significant color in many cultures, symbolizing various attributes such as nobility and trust. Woad-dyed fabrics held cultural significance in many societies. For example, the ancient Britons were known for painting their bodies with woad before battle, a practice noted by Roman historians. From simple garments to royal robes, the woad dyer's touch brought life to every thread. The ancient art of dyeing with woad plants continues to inspire modern fashion and creativity. Next time you see a beautiful blue fabric, remember the ancient magic of the woad dyer. Hey there, curious minds. Ready to dive into the dark and grimy world of ancient Greek employment? Imagine being a tanner, working with animal hides all day, dealing with stinky smells and tough labor. But wait, it gets worse. Meet the tap hose, tasked with preparing bodies for burial, definitely not a job for the faint-hearted. And then there's the lacanis polisher, polishing ceramic dishes day in and day out, a repetitive and monotonous job. Despite their strange and unpleasant nature, these jobs were vital for the functioning of ancient Greek society. Their legacy lives on, reminding us of the diverse and essential roles that existed in the ancient world. Ready to dive into the dark underbelly of ancient Rome? Let's start with the most unglamorous job, public latrine cleaners. Imagine being knee-deep in filth, scraping excrement from communal toilets for a living. It was a dirty job, literally. But the Romans didn't stop there. Animal waste collectors had the lovely task of picking up and disposing of feces from the streets. Walking the streets with buckets of animal waste was a daily routine for these workers, a smelly and unenviable job. In conclusion, while ancient Rome was known for its grandeur, let's not forget the unsung heroes who dealt with the city's less glamorous aspects. In medieval times, alewives were the brewmasters and sellers of ale. Ale was a staple in daily diets, consumed by all social classes, including children, as it was considered nutritious and safer than water. Alewives played an important role in the local economy and social life. Their alehouses were centers for socializing, conducting business, and community gatherings. For many women, being an alewife offered a degree of economic independence and entrepreneurial opportunity, although they often faced legal and social challenges. Women like them defied norms, running successful businesses. Their alehouses became community hubs, lively with stories and laughter. Their legacy lives on, symbolizing resilience and entrepreneurship. Step back in time to ancient China, where a skilled silk weaver worked their magic. Silk weavers were responsible for creating exquisite fabrics from silk threads. Their duty was to work with silk threads. This involved unwinding silk from cocoons, spinning the raw silk into thread, and preparing it for weaving. The threads had to be meticulously handled to maintain their strength. Silk weaving involved intricate patterns and designs, which could include geometric patterns and symbolic imagery. Weavers needed to follow complex patterns and sometimes used additional tools to create these designs. Silk held immense cultural importance, symbolizing wealth, status, and beauty in ancient China. Traversing the renowned Silk Road, this coveted fabric reached distant lands, sparking cultural exchanges. The legacy of Chinese silk weaving endures, inspiring modern fashion and preserving ancient traditions. Back in ancient times, imagine a torturer in a dimly lit chamber, using brutal methods to extract confessions. It involved administering physical and psychological torture. The accused, tied to a wooden rack, grimaces in pain as the torturer demands the truth through agony. This was often done under the belief that truth could be obtained through the infliction of pain. The torturer's methods are gruesome, from the rack to the Iron Maiden, each designed to break the will of the accused. As screams echo in the dungeon, the torturer's sinister laughter fills the air, a chilling soundtrack to a barbaric practice. Yet, even in the darkest moments, some remained silent, enduring the torment with a resolve that defied the torturer's expectations. The legacy of such torture methods still haunts history, a reminder of the cruelty that once prevailed in the pursuit of justice. Ever wondered what bizarre and revolting jobs existed in ancient Greece? Let's dig into the gritty details of these repulsive yet crucial tasks for society. From gondoliers, who cleaned the sewers, to leech collectors for medical use, Greeks had it rough. Imagine being a gynekologos, dealing with childbirth and menstruation, not for the faint of heart. Despite the disgust, these jobs were vital for maintaining hygiene and health in ancient Greek society. Their legacy reminds us of the unsung heroes who performed these essential yet repugnant duties. Step into the ancient world of Rome, where people had to endure the most revolting jobs imaginable. Sewer cleaners were the unsung heroes, wading through filth and waste to keep the city functioning. Handling waste was a daily reality, with workers tasked to remove garbage and excrement from homes and streets. Despite the disgusting tasks, these workers played a crucial role in maintaining public health and sanitation. The grim reality of these occupations sheds light on the harsh living conditions of the ancient Romans. Uncover the dark side of ancient Rome and the sacrifices made by those who dealt with the city's filth. Back in the day, they used human urine to soften leather. Yep, you heard that right. The duties of a leather plunger was to collect human urine. Urine was often sourced from public urinals or collected from households, as it was a key ingredient in the tanning process due to its ammonia content. Leather was a valuable commodity in ancient times, used for a wide range of products. The work of leather plungers supported the local economy by contributing to the production of essential goods. The magic of science and history combining in the most unexpected ways. The process of plunging and agitating the hides was physically demanding. It required strength and endurance to manipulate heavy, water-soaked hides for extended periods. Despite the challenging working conditions and health risks, their work was vital for the economic and practical aspects of ancient societies, highlighting the ingenuity and resourcefulness of early craftsmen. The job of an aqueduct builder in ancient Rome was a highly skilled and essential occupation, responsible for constructing and maintaining the aqueducts that supplied water to cities and towns. Aqueduct builders worked with engineers and surveyors to plan the route of the aqueduct. This involved identifying the source of water, the most efficient path, and the necessary gradient to ensure a steady flow of water. By channeling gravity in good old Roman smarts, they crafted aqueducts that spanned cities, valleys, and mountains. Facing tough terrains and enemy attacks, they built these ancient water highways with grit and determination. Imagine working under the scorching sun or in freezing winters, all to ensure clean water reached the people. But hey, their hard work paid off as these aqueducts not only supplied water but also showcased Roman engineering brilliance. Ever wondered about the ancient secrets of a Mesopotamian astrologer? It was a highly respected and significant occupation, deeply intertwined with the culture, religion, and daily life of the society. Astrologers played a crucial role in predicting significant events, from natural phenomena to political outcomes. Their predictions were taken seriously and influenced decisions at the highest levels of society. In Mesopotamian society, astrologers played a crucial role in advising rulers and predicting the future. Their legacy lives on in modern astrology, influencing how people perceive the cosmos and their destinies. Unveil the enigmatic world of Mesopotamian astrologers and their remarkable impact on history. Their work laid the foundation for the development of astrology and astronomy in later civilizations. Meet Amun, the Egyptian scribe, holding a papyrus scroll covered in hieroglyphs. Amun's role was crucial in ancient Egypt, recording laws, trades, and religious texts for posterity. Equipped with reed brushes and ink, Amun meticulously inscribed on papyrus scrolls daily. His daily tasks included transcribing official decrees, documenting harvests, and preserving historical events. Scribes like Amun were significant as they maintained accurate records crucial for governance and societal order. In conclusion, the legacy of scribes like Amun in ancient Egypt is vital for understanding the civilization's history. Imagine being the ship's rat catcher in ancient times, battling furry intruders on the high seas. The role of the rat catcher was crucial for maintaining hygiene, health, and safety on board. Rats posed significant threats to ships and their crews by spreading disease, contaminating food supplies, and causing structural damage. The primary duty of a rat catcher was to set various types of traps to capture and kill rats. This included using baited spring traps, cages, and other devices strategically placed in areas frequented by rats. But the rats weren't your only challenge. The creaking ship and salty sea air added to the thrill. Your legend grew with every rat caught, becoming the unsung hero of the ship's crew. In the dark belly of the ship, you were the fearless warrior against the furry invaders, a true legend of the seas. Back in ancient times, the bloodletter was like the ultimate healer, but with a twist. The primary duty of a bloodletter was to draw blood from patients. This was done using various tools such as lancets, flames, surgical instruments with a wide, flat blade, and leeches. Believe it or not, bloodletting was the go-to remedy for almost anything, from headaches to fevers. People actually thought letting out blood would balance their humors and keep them healthy. Imagine going to the doc today and them pulling out a knife to bleed you. Talk about unconventional medicine. Despite the unhygienic conditions and health risks, their role was integral to the prevailing medical practices and theories. The history of bloodletting highlights the evolution of medical knowledge. Back in ancient times, the grave digger was the unsung hero, digging graves for burials, a solemn duty. With each shovel of dirt, he honored the departed, a silent guardian of the resting place. In the quiet of the night, he toiled away, a solitary figure in the moon's gentle glow. Each grave he dug held stories untold, memories cherished, and lives remembered. His work was a tribute to the cycle of life, a reminder of our mortality and the legacy we leave behind. And so, in the stillness of the graveyard, the grave digger continued his timeless task, a silent witness to history. Back in the old days, being a public executioner was the grim job of ending lives in front of crowds. Imagine having to carry out punishments publicly, facing the condemned and the judgmental gazes. The town square transformed into a theater of justice and fear, where the executioner's role was both feared and vital. The condemned faced their fate with a mix of defiance and resignation, knowing their end was near. For the onlookers, it was a mix of morbid curiosity and a reminder of the consequences of breaking the law. Public executions were not just about punishment, but also about maintaining order and instilling fear in the populace. Ever seen a public lamenter in ancient times? They were the OG drama queens, crying their hearts out at public events. They'd wail louder than a siren, making everyone turn heads and wonder what was up with all the commotion. Their cries echoed through the streets, like a broken record stuck on repeat, giving the vibe of a real-life soap opera. It was like watching a live performance of despair and agony, with the public lamenters stealing the spotlight every time. But hey, maybe they were just letting out their feelings in a world where emotions were bottled up tight. So next time you feel like crying your heart out, remember the ancient public lamenter and let it all out. Back in ancient times, the shepherd of Anubis was on duty, tending to the sacred dogs in the mystical land of ancient Egypt. The shepherd of Anubis, wrapped in traditional garb, walked the sandy dunes under the blazing sun, ensuring the dogs were protected and revered. With a bond as strong as the pyramids, the shepherd whispered ancient secrets to the loyal dogs, guardians of the afterlife. Under the starry Egyptian sky, the shepherd and the dogs howled in harmony, a sacred melody echoing through the ages. Their connection transcended time, a timeless bond between man, beast, and the divine mysteries of ancient Egypt. Hey there, ever wondered how they cleaned out cesspools in ancient times? It wasn't a glamorous job, but someone had to do it, diving into the muck to keep the city clean. With no modern equipment, they relied on sheer willpower and a strong stomach to get the job done. They were the unsung heroes, risking their health to prevent disease outbreaks and maintain hygiene. Their work may have been dirty, but it was vital for the well-being of the community they served. Next time you flush, remember the ancient cesspool cleaners who kept the streets clean, one scoop at a time. Back in ancient times, the herbalist roamed the mystical forests, seeking out the most potent herbs for healing. With nimble fingers, she carefully collected each herb, knowing the secrets of nature's medicine lay within. She brewed potions under the moonlight, the aroma of herbs swirling around her like a mystical dance. The herbalist's wisdom passed down through generations, her knowledge a sacred gift from the earth itself. Her potions brought relief to the suffering, a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in uncertainty. The herbalist's legacy lives on, her spirit intertwined with the healing power of nature, a timeless tale of compassion and magic. Back in ancient times, the mummifier was like the ultimate body prep expert, giving a whole new meaning to the phrase "looking good in eternity." They'd start by cleaning the body thoroughly, getting rid of all the gunk and goo, like a fancy spa treatment for the afterlife. Then came the removal of organs, like playing a twisted version of Operation, but with much higher stakes. Next up, time to dry out that body like a raisin in the sun, using special salts and magical powders for that perfectly preserved look. Wrapping up the body like a fancy gift, layer by layer, creating the iconic mummy look we all know and fear. Finally, the body was placed in a beautifully decorated sarcophagus, like a cozy eternal bed for the long slumber ahead. Back in the day, the clerk of the dead had one job: recording deaths and burials. Imagine keeping track of every soul that passed, a never-ending task in ancient times. The graveyards were their office, where each tombstone held a story waiting to be told. They were like the silent guardians of the departed, ensuring their memory lived on. Their records held the tales of countless lives, a treasure trove of history and sorrow. Every stroke of the quill was a tribute to those who had passed, a solemn duty upheld with reverence. In a world where death was a constant, they provided a sense of order and remembrance.